It's going to be like a mirrored video in that I'm going to play the video and share it on my channel because I've seen a lot of this chosen one stuff jumping out at me. And then this person is calling it out. She has 353,000 subscribers. She's called The Alchemist. She's obviously very, very popular. And then she has another video. Who are the 144,000? Why are you seeing 144? So there's a difference between that and the chosen one cult. I could talk a little bit more about the things that they say in these videos that are basically crazy. So we'll start there.
One of the most growing trends within the spirit of this age is to call those who are going through a spiritual awakening a chosen one. So today I'm going to deconstruct this psychological operation of being a chosen.
There's actually a lot of
In my video,
videos that
the
I want
timeline
to
split explains.
reshare and
I
just
talk
talk
about
over.
how there's an ascending timemeline.
You know, it
And
saves
with
time
that, the
also for me to
implication
watch a
is
video
though
for the
there is
first
more
time
conscious
and also to share it.
individuals and a more conscious impulse within those who wish to spiritually evolve. That is as
If by
far
any
as
chance
this
you learn
concept
better from me talking over the
goes with
videos,
being
let me know
advanced.
that.
There is nothing beyond this concept of souls and people
I need like a
who wish
girlfriend who
to
like lives out
spiritually
there,
evolve.
who wants to invite me over.
What I mean by that is there's nothing that makes them more
Because again,
superior.
it's difficult for me to reach a woman like that with that many subscribers, that many supporters. It's not going to be within her consciousness, you know, to give me a chance or anything like that, or to get to know me. She's going to be also looking at status. And that's just the truth about it.
They are more advanced.
They're out of my league.
That's just the reality of the situation.
It's just
But
the
being
reality of the situation.
more advanced in consciousness or going through a spiritual
We
awakening
have not
and
yet
becoming
received the
more
DNA upgrade.
expanded in our
You cannot see my
consciousness
light.
does not at all
She is
mean that
blind
we
to
are
me.
chosen. As a matter of fact,
So she
this
clearly is not chosen.
is a psychological operation, otherwise known as a psyops, that has been infused intentionally into the spiritual community in order to appeal to our ego. This was infused into the spiritual community
So
by
this is
the
also
entity
why
that we know as Yahweh. So we see this stronghold
there's a pattern of people calling out to Yahweh.
when it comes to religion and when it comes to spirituality, and there being some common themes.
So I've been discussing for years that there are people that aren't really dealing with spirituality when they talk about gang stalking. And this is a parallel psyops when people talk about being gang stalked and being part of this amazing program when in fact they're not.
Of manipulation and of consciousness tactics that are used to.
But there is such a thing called stalking, and we should talk more about that. How people can end up stalked, having to relocate across the United States, selling their own land. Essentially, what happened to me.
Control a person who's evolving consciousness. So this is most known in the spiritual meme, new level, new devil. There's always going to be, every time you up level your consciousness, some new way that manipulation mutates, some new way that the manipulation tactics can appeal to our new state of consciousness. It never stops. No matter how much we expand our consciousness, no matter how much we grow and evolve, there's always going to be waiting for us at that new level.
In our level, we have been chosen to learn about certain things on the earth. So we're all chosen just by being here, but chosen at the level to where certain people are better than other people, to where certain people should be allowed to live and other people should be allowed to die. That's what you should be aware of, that videos like that do exist, that say your enemies are going to die, that Trump is listening to you, that Trump is getting you $1 billion. It really plays into the political madness and schizophrenia.
Form of manipulation tactic. And so what we see, which is
It's like
very
the new version of QAnon.
strong in the spiritual community and even the conscious community today, is that same psyops that was placed by the Yahweh entity
The
far back
Yahweh
into
entity. Does any of that sound familiar to you?
creating a sense of specialness and appealing to the ego of certain
There's
races
a pattern with trolls and people being troll-like, screaming out that Yahweh is the only way.
here on earth being chosen. And it's still that same flavor of manipulation by that same entity, only now it looks completely different because it's not under a religious tone this time.
You know, I'd be reaching out to her if she'd listen to me.
It's being put in a spiritual setting. It's being placed in the spiritual community as a way to infuse our consciousness with being special. Now, everyone is special because we're all inherently unique. You can watch my video on this titled,
aspire to
Are
be
We the
super
Creator
unique
or
and
the
special in the same way that
So,
your fingerprint is
when a being
unique with
has
regards
a
to
big
sharing information.
understand
That one
the
should
larger
aspire
paradox
to
of
be
existence,
unique. And I feel like I am
the
in that way, but I'm not the
superiority
only one.
complex or an
Okay? The internet
inferiority complex.
is an interesting place where we can
Because
see people's
ego
unique and
always
diverse
needs
information.
to be either in a state of superiority or inferiority. See, we typically only know when the ego is in a superiority complex. It's way harder for our discernment to recognize when the ego is in an inferiority complex.
But I do.
But it's just as
And
much
struggle with it because the way the internet is weaponized to attack our self-esteem.
go to be in an inferiority complex as it is in a superiority complex. And so when we're in an inferiority complex, that's when religion and that's when a lot of different spiritual beliefs start being infused into the collective mind to keep us in a state of inferiority so we could be fed off of and our sovereignty can be siphoned. But there's just as much manipulation going on the opposite end of this equation to feed our spiritual ego, to feed our sense of superiority.
Assuming this is Arizona.
Our spiritual ego into believing that we are superior and that we are special.
I don't have any leads yet on Arizona to follow up on.
And that is not any more well-known.
But when I do, I will.
And in this chosen one concept that the spiritual community is now facing, because there are so many people.
Bring up some chosen one headlines, just show you what they
and they're consuming content that is feeding their spiritual ego, actually blocking their own evolution by putting them in a false paradigm, putting them in a mental matrix, as though they're in some sort of chosen one group.
It was obvious that I was dealing with the psyops, looking at the videos that were being suggested. So we'll just see what's up.
Selected by the same Yahweh entity, only now the Yahweh entity.
Here we go. Secret Service agent wants to thank you. Let me just go ahead and pause. You can see how this can play on mental illness, can't you? Schizophrenia. 5 superpowers chosen ones get from being alone that makes them different from 80% of the people. That's a stretch. Chosen ones, they're gossiping about how you shut this whole group down. You silenced these haters. Non-playable characters explained. Who are the backdrop people? Also from The Alchemist, the woman that we're listening to. She has more than a few good videos. Maybe I should go down the rabbit hole of, since she is a woman, and I do respect spiritual women. Chosen ones, you're not 100% human. Now that I found to be interesting, pulled me in for a minute, but I mean, that's full of disaster. I'm not human. I could take a bullet. I mean, that's just chock full of.
And the spiritual consciousness through that programming anymore.
So you could say I was influenced by aspects of the Matrix.
So it's mutated.
Falls short of being something that's truly spiritual and revealing about reality and just sending people in these different directions.
It's taking form into the spiritual community now, and it's playing off of the same manipulation tactic, only now it's placing people who are going through genuine awakenings, people who are going through genuine evolutionary milestones, but It's making them go through a mental matrix so that they actually do a U-turn.
She said, then back into the matrix control grid. Now, I identify you've got people feeling dumb as fuck. Now, this is from Awaken Your Spirit. We'll listen to a few of these.
Awaken your spirit, chosen ones. When you stop playing their game, you're not just a player who left. You're they can't fix. Here's a fact. Humans spend nearly
It is super narcissistic.
third of their lives
Anybody can latch onto these videos and then start just like beaming out craziness to everybody
trying to
around them.
impress people who don't even matter. The chosen ones? They wake up one day and realize the whole game was rigged and the prize was worthless. That's when the fireworks begin. See, it's not just that you refuse to play their shallow, performative games, it's that you see through them. And nothing drives people crazier
So
than
explain
knowing
to me, right, how there can be thousands of chosen ones that are receiving these videos. You know, and so it seems to me to be a big distraction from spiritual growth by creating the divisions of the people. And then saying the crazy things that are being said in those videos. So once someone starts clicking on those videos, they can enter into like a la-la land of craziness. One could be a practical joker and infiltrate their chosen one videos and put a bunch of crazy shit in there, or try to be generally helpful.
Control system. PSYOPs make a person believe that they are a part of a genuine movement, when in reality, they are being mind controlled.
Other words include 5D and ascension, rapture also.
To focus.
I'm not denying the possibility of an ascension or rapture, but to talk about how these words have been overused by people that aren't even close to anything that we would identify to be spiritual, enlightened, or evolved.
Life force and consciousness into a trap. This keeps people following false movements that do not actually raise a person's frequency.
But can there be aspects of the 1980s and 1990s that were
the person's
spiritual
frequency is
in the
becoming
2000s,
higher
in conjunction with the solar cycles? Absolutely.
Each PSYOPs is different, so the way it creates the illusion of awakening
psyops when they know that we're awakening on a level.
They are
Take us away from that humble awakening. They would seek to then create
than it will be for the
narcissists
left,
and assholes on the
and so
internet
forth.
looking forward
PSYOPs are
for.
all custom made to fit perfectly
They want to
into a
socially
person's
engineer
belief
us to look
systems.
forward to the
Now,
downfall
even
of
though
others.
this is a PSYOPs that was infused intentionally into the spiritual community to block our evolution, there are so many different content creators or new age teachers that have actually taken on this concept and this PSYOPs and are feeding it now like a prostitute archetype to their followers, to their.
I don't want to talk about her at great length, but I thought the only video that a certain person uploaded was Chosen Ones on her own channel. And it was nothing about certain other, and she watches this channel. I believe she does. I'm not really consulting the pendulum anymore to try to ascertain certain questions with regards to some of that stuff, because I'm just not getting accurate answers. But I did care about her and don't want to see her also end up on a trap to where she uses the hashtag to attract unstable people, okay, because that's what it can attract. And what I like seeing from someone that was supporting some of my comments or was leaving comments on my channel, a Norman Johnson, I looked at their playlist because oftentimes if you don't have content, I'll look at your playlist to see what you watch when you comment. And they were leaving videos or collecting videos about the Chosen One cult. And again, it is like the gang stalking cult where you see people that are not stable talk about how they're being stalked by people at the grocery store when in fact they're not. But they are experiencing something, and they could possibly be experiencing something paranormal. On that note,
their audience, they're spreading this PSYOPs because they're benefiting from it in some way. They're either benefiting from it monetarily, they're benefiting from it through gain, through reach, through following, whatever it is. There are shadow reasons why content creators are purposely helping to.
Someone's using her face for this video here. Top Mystic predicts humanity's coming timeline split in 2025. And that was a 2-hour video. So I'm going to go ahead and make a point to watch her video. So I'm going to watch her videos as a female content creator.
Out of integrity,
Tell us
100%
out some of the male videos that I'm watching.
out of alignment, reasons why content creators are feeding this to their audience,
So of
feeding
course, I realize that she's never going to say Afghan lives matter.
this storyline of them being chosen, of the chosen one,
Mm.
whole little narrative that actually severely harms people who are going through a spiritual awakening. Now, one could say, well, it's a rite of passage to go through these
I deserve to be in Arizona having a spiritual experience.
tests.
What does that
It's-
mean? I don't know, that my body and my spirit and my mind are not being bombarded by 5G or like where I am now.
It's how we gain
And
discernment.
crazy people and concrete. It's a
Absolutely.
great world for gray aliens is what I always say.
True. We always learn discernment through personal life experiences. None of us will be spared by learning discernment through our own personal life
So if
experiences.
you take a look at my mother's activities in the 1980s, there would be a lot of interesting things said about the rise out of the old world, the underground aspects, and the new world are rising. And that would be more meat and potatoes than spacecrafts coming to save us. Just talking about energy shifts from the older ways of doing things, but we're still in a violent world, unfortunately. But I believe that we have these ebbs and flows of war and peace, where things get a little bit better, and then we descend back into violence.
Nothing can really come and intervene.
Unfortunately, on this planet, there is still a base animalistic and sexual violent nature to what we are.
To stop us from learning experiences
That is problematic to spiritual growth.
through our
This
life.
very dimension, this very reality is problematic.
We can be helped, we can be given advice, we can be given keys and markers along the way, but nothing can truly intervene and stop us from learning these things unless
This
we
is
go
called The Alchemist. Very popular YouTube channel, not 1 million subscribers, but 360.
through it. So in
Awesome.
that sense, yes, this is a great rite of passage that many people are learning how to discern and how to evolve through. But at the same time, there are several people who are going through a spiritual awakening, and now it's being capitalized off and commercialized off through this psyops of them being chosen ones, because there is a new earth that awaits the conscious collective, the collective of people who are going through their own healing, who are going through their own advancement in consciousness. But that new earth is not one how you get there, either mentally, emotionally, whatever. You don't picture that new earth. You don't align with that timeline of that new earth by believing that you are a chosen one, because that very concept of being a chosen.
So this was in existence in the 1980s. The chosen one verbiage wasn't used exactly, but pretty much the same meaning was there. And the idea of the world being left behind, cataclysms, mega death, things of that nature.
Chosen one.
And then the chosen ones would be elevated by the aliens in the spacecraft that were often referred to as the Pleiadians, still are, and other names also. Tall whites, Nordics.
Leads with its own
They
terminology.
appear to white Americans as super tall, very sexy white aliens. And this has been something that's been the subject of podcasts that have made for years. Even when I was off the grid in the middle of the night, I'd make podcasts about this. And my friend would make art. And we would talk about the Fabio worshiping type of archetype. And the need to not confuse that, I came to say later, with the real Archangel Michael, because I won't deny that he exists, that it exists. But they create fakes. And see the title here, False Light Deception. They create these false light saviors for these men and women. And I would say women in particular, because of their sexual nature.
It leads with its own language.
And you know where I'm going with that.
And therefore, mental
Many of them could be touched.
constructs
You know what I'm saying?
that are actually
By the others, touched.
going to
And what does
vibrationally
that mean when they're touched by others? You know what I
make
mean?
you not a match to a new earth. It will make you a match to manipulation
We're
tactics.
talking about hybrid aliens. We're talking about my theories about the West Coast of the United States and how funky it is. Portland, where I'm from, where there's so many crazy ass people there that have a spiritual nature, but their spirituality is dark. It's
and
not
recycle
loving.
you into
They're
the
there. They were called there in spirit to live a rough life.
matrix control system.
They're not living a good life, the people in Portland.
In my video, What is the False Light? I talk about how the false light
Many of them are immersed in the false light.
System here on Earth doesn't actually care which side of the polarity that you fall under. So in this sense, it doesn't matter if the false light gets you into its inferiority complex of your ego, and it doesn't matter if the false light gets you into your superiority complex of your spiritual ego. What's really important is that you never integrate these hemispheres. You never integrate these two energies. That's what they care about. And so when it comes to the false light being infused into the spiritual community through concepts of a chosen one, what is very important to look for is the discernment in who you're going to.
I appreciate holding your attention, the two watching.
And what that person has to gain from
I
creating
won't abuse it. I have more videos planned that I'm going to mirror and play over.
that content. Because there's many things that are just personal disagreement. And there's many things that are just different people seeing different perceptions. And all of that is organic. And none of that is inherently manipulative. It doesn't need
We're
to
going to
be
end this video, maybe come back with others.
But then there are some things that are flat out 100%. It doesn't matter which way you're approaching it, which way you're looking at it, deceptive. And that is when content creators are pushing out this narrative of there being a chosen one, because there's 100% shadow reward that's being gained, very vampirically too. And it has nothing to do with integrity, which is why also what the spiritual community is learning very clearly now within this age is the prostitute archetype. The prostitute archetype is the most important archetype that is coming into our collective awareness.
Prostitute archetype.
Right now. Because the prostitute archetype has nothing to do with prostitutes. It is, in fact, those people who will do anything, no matter how much out of integrity they are, in order to gain either financially
Money,
or in status
things,
or in
people,
fame or whatever
sex.
their shadow wounds are and their motivations are. And what I mean specifically by the prostitute archetype is
prostitute
how
their own morals and
desperate
integrity, as they said for years.
Person is, whether they're a content creator, whether they're just a person who's beginning
People
their
that'll say anything for clicks.
Spiritual awakening, whatever it is, we all embody the different archetypes. We all embody the prostitute archetype to a certain degree. The question becomes, how aware are we going to be of it? And how are we going to express it? Because any archetype, it doesn't matter what archetype it is,
this is
can
also
be used in a beneficial and in
playing the game. And I don't play the game well, do I?
Way to express an archetype. There is always some sort of benefit.
Though, if I was to be popular before the masses, not to make this video about me, but we would have to change so much about what I say. And it would have to be like, so if we were to take on this attitude that it's not racism, it's not this and that, we have to change some things that I say, it would be actually a very long list of some of the things that I would have to change about me.
Or advantageous.
That's one way of looking at it. Another way of looking at it is it seems like people like her and others talk about similar things, but they're doing much better. I would say that I certainly feel chosen to evolve beyond a shitty world, and that more people are probably chosen for that, to have that true ascension, than they realize, then are those answering the call. That type of chosen, to rise above. It's very Buddhist, like what I'm describing, to rise above materialism, worshiping gold, worshiping status. I mean, like, we need a really deep, profound spiritual movement to change things. There's a song called Lot of Love by Nicolette Larson.
Just quality that we can use with.
We're going to switch over here. This is Desert Life update.
Happened,
Gypsy
right?
Fox.
One, I have a lot of paranormal stuff happen to me, and I'm right next to a
The way that he describes this is priceless.
graveyard, like a new graveyard.
Thank you for
And
watching.
then like an old miner graveyard for like miners.
And this is a guy that gets wigged out by my content and some of the spiritual stuff. That so keep that in mind.
From like the 1800s. And last time I was out here, and I've had paranormal stuff happen to me my entire life. I attract it, but I was sleeping, and
To what degree he attracts it, I've really wondered.
I woke up to the sound. This is like months ago. I
He's an odd cat.
woke up to the sound of somebody going, "Hey, hey."
How's that for
And
a
I get up.
soundbite?
Hey.
So he's out there boondocking, van dwelling, and waking up to the sound of that in his van.
This is like months ago. I woke up to the sound of somebody
months
going,
ago.
hey,
Well, that would freak me out.
hey. And I get up.
So
and
he
it's
talks
like
about
witchy.
having a Jewish mystical tradition, which I haven't really studied, but might find it interesting. Dion Fortune does write about the mystical Kabbalah.
Now we're like 3 a.m., right? And, you know, your body is more scared to your mind because you're just waking up.
And so this is the Chosen One videos. I want to thank you for watching. We're going to end this video now. If you would like to watch more videos on the Chosen One Matrix, and how could 31,000 people in 5 days be chosen ones if they're not creating content? That's the last thing that I'm going to say. That I believe that if there is such a concept of it, with people that are different, then they're sharing information that no one is. That they're very gifted. That they're very bright. Just be
intentional or not,
somebody
set something in motion
is
that
a
even
chosen
those
one
the
just because
highest
they're facing
circles
hardship.
couldn't
It's not
ignore.
something that,
And now a message arrives from the shadows.
it seems
A
that they're
Secret
really
Service
promoting
agent.
the wearing the black cloak. And even I accidentally did that on one recent thumbnail on my main channel without realizing it. So they're definitely trying to merge the idea of being like a dark Illuminati with being spiritual. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much. And I'll sign autographs later on.